Welcome to SpeakuP Monday Inspiring Humanity podcast. So we do this right where we can't necessarily do the live studio audience version, but we connect with some incredible people from around the world. And today we have an Italian brother, Benedetto Daniele Fiorista, an incredible man. I'm loving the journey which he's on. It's a very powerful, important journey for our humanity. He's a man who's traveled the world studying some of the most ancient religions and cultures on our planet, and has managed to bring all of this together in such a powerful, incredible way to bring it to us in a way that we can not only understand, but in a way that we can also reinterpret the truth. So it gives me no greater pleasure than to introduce my Italian brother. Welcome to the show, Daniele. Welcome, my brother. I can't see him.
Yeah, he's offline now.
What?
He's not in Zoom.
Awesome.
Yeah, great.
Cool. Well, we go again. Okay. So. Man, the energy is strong.
Yes. So we're still live. So.
Oh, we are live.
We are live.
Oh, great.
It's just that he's not on the Zoom.
All right, guys. So there you go. There was I thinking that I'm just talking to myself. So we're waiting for Daniele to come back. So basically, he's offline. So we are online. He is offline. We're waiting for him to come back via Zoom. So we send him a little message to bring him back. So look, I guess while we're waiting for him, so it's interesting. So I met Daniele recently through a mutual friend, and we sat down the other day for about it was one of those meetings that you kind of plan it to be about half an hour, and it kind of goes on for 2 hours, and you could still go on for longer. It was a bit like that. So we got an amazing understanding of who he is, and I can't wait to get him back in, because some of the things which he studied, literally, for me, I felt this feeling that the truth in a way has been hidden from us, and I felt that where he was coming from was an incredible space of truth, being that he spent decades studying some of the most ancient cultures in the world, but not just in a book, actually going there in person and connecting with the indigenous peoples of that country, of that nation, and then also connecting with the indigenous scriptures of that country, of that culture. So it's just he's a phenomenal guy. So I'm just seeing now where they're going to be. We will use his phone. It's not connecting. We will use his phone. All right. So we're going to connect him, or he's going to connect to us by his phone. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how we go. So what else can I tell you about Daniele? So obviously Italian, and his partner was basically born in the U.S., Jennifer, and then she is the person who brought us together. Now we're about to be admitted, so we're about to admit him back in, and we might go through this introduction again. It's an interesting live today. What's going on? The energy is strong. Welcome back. So you're just on mute again, my brother. So you just have to unmute. Yeah. Well, we can see him, but we can't hear him. Yeah. So you're just on mute, my brother. He is on mute. He is.
Yeah. Now, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Beautiful.
We come back.
It's okay.
Back alive again.
Now We are live, okay? I'm just letting you
We
know.
are live. We were dead. Sorry. I resurrected. This
I
is
love
what
it.
we do with technology.
It's okay. Listen, that's okay. Now with the phone, what you want to do
Yeah.
is to so you want to we want to have your head. There you go. That's better. So yes, there. Whoop, don't move. Go back.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I know what we need to do here. Okay. So if I set the phone in the way that it stays still. No. No, I don't see it.
Upside down. There you go.
No, because it needs every background.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's him. That's it. Beautiful. We're getting there. There you go. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well,
No, okay.
well, all I can say is that l'energia è forte. The energy is strong. So look, Daniele, now while you were offline or getting back online, what I was explaining to people is that, you are in a very unique position in that, you're one of these incredible people who not only managed to study, from some of these ancient scriptures, but you actually went to the locations, connected with the people, the indigenous people there. So you really got a 3D or a 5D perspective. So look, what I want to do, while now we've got you back and we're settled. So if I ask yourself, or if I ask you, in fact, like someone's just met you, maybe in an event, and they said, okay, Daniele, in a minute or so, like how would you describe what it is you do, or how would you describe your mission?
Okay, can I say something? Because I think it would be better to give just tiny little bit of background where I come from.
Would love to.
Because it make people understand a little bit the experience that there is behind, and all the work that has come through, and then everything will come naturally. Yeah. So this is what I think would be, Okay, would be the best. Sorry, we try to fix this because see, this is when we do our work. So this does not surprise me at all. So just so to be with you and just we stay peaceful and we let it flow everything. So yes, so I give a little bit of background what has been done and what has made me reach this position. Say why I want to speak up with you and we are together, and then everything will come online. I know.
Sure.
Will come online.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall we start again?
Vai pure. Stiamo già live, quindi parli, ok, parla.
Siamo live. Oh, perfect. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to you for invite me on this program. And I feel very grateful and very fortunate that you have given me this opportunity to speak up in your program, and also to allow this voice to a little bit resonate with all your audience, all your followings, because I think it's very, very, very important. So I'm very fortunate to be invited to this. Very unfortunate. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, who am I? Why I'm here? Why are we doing these conversations? In order to answer these questions, we need to go a little bit backwards. And I try to be brief because time will fly very fast during our interview. So I will try to be very brief and very concise on what there is behind this face and this body and this voice. In my life, I have done many jobs. I started from the bottom end. I was never an academic. person. I never was into studies. I never was into religions. So I changed many little jobs, and I decided to follow the hard work because of a need to earn some money and to be a little bit more independent. So I started work when I was young. I'm not that old, by the way, but I started work when I was young. So I managed to qualify myself as diving instructor, and which gave me in some respect a passport to travel around the world and teach people that, which I loved very much. For me, it was like a mission to allow everybody to bring them into the element of water in a different environment. Of course, after a few years, that was for me a dream job. It was changed. I met my past partner, where she brought me to Britain, and there it opened up a different kind of experience for me, because from there I become like a businessman. I worked for a British company for a few years. I was into managerial responsibilities, and I used to travel a lot in countries like India and China and other countries for business reasons. As I said before, I never was a spiritual person. In 2009, I had the spiritual awakening that really, really shocked me, because this spiritual awakening showed me things that I really didn't know were existing. People maybe from the scientific world, or people that doesn't know experience that, they might give terms like schizophrenic, or be under drugs, or be under, but I was very sober. I never used a drug in my life, and so I start to see with my own eyes realities, and I believe during that time something was being given to me, and later on this became my mission. I started to receive a lots of visions, which inspired me to write my first book, which is an autobiography book. It's called Bring to the Light. It's basically a recording of events that was happening during that time. I needed to write down this work, because if I did not write down, everything would be lost into memory. I would not have, I'm sure, no sense at all. So I wrote everything down, and then I published a book. It's called Bring to the Light. This was in 2012. After that, the publishing of that book, I started to go deep into search, because I started to have more experiences, visions, and a spiritual, inductive. I really struggled. I had to leave my job. I left everything. I packed up everything. So I knew my mind was being, in some respect, taken in the way that needs to be focused on exploring this new journey. So I went to deep studies. I lived like a monk for several years, trying to find answer. During this time, sometimes I used to join what we call this new stream of spirituality, or New Age spirituality, where we experience also today. But I never really find my truths. I didn't find, during the course of my experiences, I have to say this, I never find really the answer that I was looking for during doing this spiritual course. But what really opened up to me another new doors, and it was to return on what we call the sacred scriptures. I want to draw a line here, because many people, when we refer to sacred scriptures, we refer as religion system. No, I didn't go back to I never was, as I said, into religions, but what I did is I went into the study through the scriptures that the same religion system use for the teachings. The difference here is that through my experiences and I call it testimonial experiences, I come to know that actually these scriptures open up in many different levels of intelligence. And it doesn't matter which one it was. In particular, I concentrate to the Western traditions, scriptures, which are, for example, the Torah. People don't know what is the Torah. It's the first book of the Bible. Book of Genesis, the book of Leviticus, the book of Numbers, and the book of Exodus and Deuteronomy. This is the 5 books of the Torah. But the Bible holds 66 books, including the New Testament. So my main focus was on the Western traditions, what I call the Western tradition, but also I did a deeper research, a deeper study into the Eastern traditions also, because I'm very much well acquainted with Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and so on, Islam, and so on. This was necessary for me in order that allowed me today to speak in very universal language, in order that I'm able, to speak with everybody without creating divisions, without creating, confrontations between a different belief system, because in the end of the day, everybody knows that there is one source of creation. But in reality, when we try to put that in practice and we try to unify everything, we come to know that it is very difficult to put that oneness or one source of creations into our daily life, because this is how things are in this world. So when I was ready, when I gathered the basic key that I could travel in safety around the world, I took a flight, was being guided to go first in US. I went to see, I was invited, maybe some of my friends were watching me and recall this experience when I went to see them. They were part of actually a Mormon church. There were some keys that were very dear to me. I needed to take that keys, and I needed to go through the sacred scriptures, through the truths that were being given through them, through Joseph Smith. So I spent 3 weeks with them and traveling here and there around the sacred area in the middle of US. After that, when I was going to go back in United Kingdom, I was living in United Kingdom at that time. I received the night before they did the party for me, a goodbye party. They were very sweet people, very, very nice, beautiful souls. And so they threw a party on me, and the same night I received a phone call that said, Daniela, it's not time for you to leave, but there is more work that needs to be done. So the flights were already booked. I had the choice to go in 2 different areas, and from there I went to New Mexico area, and then I moved to Mexico, and then I moved to Israel, Jordan, Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, India, which I spent more than 1 year, Nepal, Myanmar, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Indonesia again, Bali. This journey took me more than 6 years. During this journey, I have seen many things. I have done many things only God knows. All the experience that come through this body, and in some respect has evolved me in the way that I can talk about things universally. The fruit of this work has given birth to some of my written works. I wrote few books in total, including the past one, it's 10 books. It's maybe for people it's not many, but I have written 10 books, and these books, it's not about me. It's about opening up scriptures, because I do believe today, after all this experience I have had, this testimonial that I bring as an individual, where I can speak, I can transmute the letter or the first subject as from I to we. It is a very big step. So we have great, collectively in this world, a great opportunity today. I do believe we are on the turning point where we can change our fate. And I do believe very much that this changing fate, the keys to change our fate or our destiny is written within what we call sacred scriptures. That I do believe was being given for a reason, for this time that we are living. Many people that very much acquainted with scriptures, they know that there are prophecies. And these prophecies, those that are a little bit aware of what is going on, they know they're taking place today. So I believe today what we're going to talk a little bit, what are our choices, because this is relevant to our discussions, what we can do to change it. This is go beyond on the concept of, learning how to make money or how to have a better relationship with our partner, to empower ourselves more and more with the sexual, sexual empowerment or so on, or any kind of spiritual achievement. This is go beyond that, because in reality, what is at stake here, what I believe, it's our survival. We do this work here as I speak as an individual, but I like to project myself as we. What we're trying to do here is to give a greater hope in my faith, because I see how things are turning with technologies, science. We have experienced, each one of us, the effect of COVID, a very sensitive topic of COVID, the virus, coronavirus, the impact that has had on this world. And the consequences of it. But this is just, I do believe it's just the first step. There is more. There is more to come. We have on the doorstep, we have 5Gs, we have stronger frequencies, we gather more experience how to genetically, we can engineer genes, we can mix them. We have this technology today. So there is, I believe in this, I don't know how much time we have available, but there's more to talk about.
Now, okay, so I wanted to say that. And so what we'll do from here on in, so the story and what we're supposed to talk about will evolve, right? And so there's a few things I want to pick up upon. Now, one is the urgency of this moment. That's one thing I'm going to pick up upon in a moment. And now the other thing that I want to pick up upon is something that we discussed, which I found to be extremely powerful, which was this concept of enlightenment. This concept of, enlightenment is the end step. And I remember from our conversation that what was coming through is that it's not actually the end step. It's a step in the process, but it's not the end. It's what we do with it afterwards. So let's go to that one actually. So maybe if you can take us through exactly what we meant when we discussed that particular element.
That is a good question, and has created lots of, I do believe, misleading around. But as I said, I see things in different way, and it can be very argued in some point of view. But in reality, then we need to try to make sense of. Also, it needs to go together of what is written, because my view and my understanding on things comes by opening up, this sacred words, sacred scriptures. Yeah, the words of enlightenment. Has it been so much taught? Traditionally, these words come from the Eastern belief system, but in the West, it's called the illumination. So it's the same. And many people associate this state, shall we call it a state of mind, associate as the end or the goal of the ultimate state to reach on. I have seen this taught by spiritual leaders, that they teach their students that the Buddha reached the state of enlightenment. I tell you the story behind that, so we understand a little bit more. The myth of the story of the enlightenment is found in the Bali traditions, and it's seen of Buddha that he was struggling. The story is encoded in a place called Bodh Gaya. It's where all these things took place in India. It's in Bihar, one of the poorest countries today of all India. An incredible place. So what the setup here is that the Buddha is struggling. Scripture says for more than 6 years. He was reached in the state that was skin and bones. So he was fasting all the time. He was deprived insults of life. So he was using what it's called austerity measure to reach that state of what they knew there was already this state of enlightenment. So he sat into this banyan tree for more than 6 years, and he was struggling until a village girl, came along and called Suraya, and gave him a bowl of milk, and I'm sure there was honey on it, because it's depicted on the image how this story is related. There is honey on the tree hanging around. This is very symbolic, very important meaning. And what happened here? When he drank that milk given by this girl, he decided to get up from the banyan tree and he went to sit under a Bodhi tree. So he changed tree from a banyan tree, a Bodhi tree. Now, this type of tree, people maybe don't pay so much attention. They look very similar because they are massive. They are parts of the fig trees, but they don't produce really much fruit. The fruit that they produce is not eatable for humans, maybe perhaps for monkeys. And when he sat on the Bodhi tree, after 3 days, he got enlightened. So, and then he said, enough of austerity, enough of depriving myself of life. Now he embarks a life that is mainly based on loving kindness. It is very powerful. So what happens when he did reach that state, that he enlightened himself, when he was walking on the streets or when he was walking on his way alone, people that before they used to be his friends, or they were co-sharing the same journey as he did, used to judge him very harshly because he said he has failed. Before, used to see them, they used to think about him because he has failed to reach the state of enlightenment because now he's giving in to life. So he doesn't know set or insults, or he doesn't know try to separate or detach. This word also is a key word, detachment from life itself. So they used to say themselves, don't go near to him, don't speak to him because he is not anymore one of us. But when he was getting close to them, they realized the light that was emanating from within him. It was so bright, so loving. And they could not resist that, loving them. And this is when Buddha started to give his Dharma. And this started in a city that in India is called Varanasi. Yeah, very important when it's on the Deer Park. This story retains a lot of mysteries, a lot of symbolic reasons, where we're going to explain that the state of enlightenment in reality is like somebody that hasn't been switched on. We live in a life today that is always pressuring us and leading us and try to, decide for us. It's done, without even ourselves knowing. So a state of enlightenment is somebody a light that is switching within us, and at that point, we start to see where we're going, what there is around us. We start to be more aware. So in reality, it's the beginning, because once we start to know, we start to be more aware of where we're going, and we start to gather that sense of understanding of things around us and what they try to do, then we gather the strength, the weapons, what we call the spiritual tools, the spiritual weapons that allowed us to reach what it's called in Buddhism state of nirvana or state of liberation. In Hindu it's called moksha. In the West it's called liberation. Without reaching a state of enlightenment, it would be almost impossible to free ourselves from the boundary of this world. Impossible. But still, these are two stages. I do believe there is also a third stage, which is called, in the Western tradition, we can call this a self-realization, a self-accomplishment. The name of Siddhartha, it means who achieved his goal. It was embedded in his name, and then it was being given the title of Buddha. Of course, similar things happens in the West with the Christ consciousness. But with the Christ consciousness, we go a little bit even more further than that. Because, you see, this is what I say to people. We can all be enlightened. The state of enlightenment is given a state of awareness. So if we are aware of the gains that there is around us, if we are aware of the duality effect, if we are aware that there is actually a battle, darkness against light, good and evil, this duality is very important because it helps us to grow. It needs to be like that. There is no good. Never cannot be a good state if there is no bad, if there is no evil. Good will not exist. The same is there is no light, true light, if there is no darkness. so we can compare our state. So this is what gives the state of awareness.
Wow.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, beautiful. And the power of this is what the question evokes, and the stories and the, whatever comes to you is powerful, because then we're able to see from 3-dimension moving towards 5-dimension. So it's a beautiful answer, and it gives a lot of context to the conversation that we're having. Now, let's move to the Regenesis Scrolls. So this is something which I think is enormously powerful and important at this time. So if you could explain to us what that is and why it's important now.
Of course. So if for example, we were talking yesterday, we had a small talk, because once a week we do a talk here in Bali, and then we try to inspire people through our talks. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, that if we think that in which place we were 150 years ago, somebody would tell you that 150 years ago, he would tell you that today we will be able to talk with somebody like I'm talking to you. I know you are a little bit far from me, but not that far. But when we look into the context, like we can talk today, from a plastic device without wiring to another continent. Even we can gather information from out of our solar system, like NASA does. We land probes or machines into another planet, controlled from Earth. This is an incredible thing. We have landing to the moon. We have created a system where we can see, not just we can connect, but we can see each other, We can talk in the instant time. I mean, everybody takes this for granted, but there is an incredible change. The creations of electricity, of light, and how things work, the flying with the aeroplane, all this stuff. Yeah? If somebody would tell us 150 years ago all these things that comes, we will definitely think this guy is out of mind. Has lost his mind. He would be out of control. We would not believe that. But hence I tell you, this is just, people would say this is evolution. Okay, depends how we see. If we see as people, enlightened people, then maybe this is a technological and scientific enlightenment, which is made of an artificial light. Yes, we can say that, with the small e. But if we have to say as with the perspective of those that know scriptures, in this case we're talking about the book of Regenesis, then we come to know that actually there is a big E enlightenment, which is very different than relying on devices, relying in any man-made machines to do things that otherwise would be very impossible for our body to do. But through the scriptures of what has been given, through testimonies of many experiences, we know in the past that people used to make miracles, used to go through walls, used to raise dead people, used to transcend themselves and go and connect with the other dimensions. You talk before 3 dimensions to 5th dimensions. There is another big program we can do about that. Yeah, what is 3 dimensions? What is 4th dimension? So on, right? So Regenesis. Well, Regenesis is this. At this moment, what we experience is that there are 2 types. What I see is 2 types of destiny that the human race is taking it. One is man-made destiny that we are experiencing at this moment with technology and science. It's a lower faith. But there is also, this has been concealed. This has been hidden from us. But now I do believe we have a chance to open up the scriptures and bring the codes out, what we call regenesis, to recode ourselves, in order that we start to understand that actually, there is something more. There is a choice, where in reality we can allow this body, when it's full activated, to be a little bit just more than a body, a biological body that moves around here and there, but actually can do things that could be much more powerful than science try to manifest. We can see this, science is trying to reach the state of quantum computing. That is an equivalent of fourth artificial dimension, fourth. But many people speak about this quantum mind. This quantum mind, which is a collective mind where gather data from everywhere. This is probably what Google tried to do in some respect. But we already have this in us. But instead of to be inducted from a technological upbringing, we can reconnect once again with our divine. This is regaining our birthright, the divine birthright, which is due, it's overdue. The question I ask you now, if we don't have this truth, if we don't put this into this context, what do you think is going to happen to humanity? Just to try to look what is going on and where we're going, and you will find the answer. What do you think is going to happen? Can you see what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah.
And tell everybody, we're going to go to the age of robotic, artificial intelligence. And we are going to lose this power of choice.
It's almost like we have this, this man-made, as we're saying, and then we have divinity. We have the true connection to the divine, and this is the fork. This is the road that we're basically on, and this is why you're saying that the time is now. Right, so this is very, very important. This next period of time that we reconnect with the true codes that actually unleash the true power behind our body, because it's not just a biological system. It's much, much more than that. But these codes have been hidden from us in a way. They've been. Is the word hidden? Probably yes. But we have opportunities now to reconnect with the true codes, not religion as we know it, but the true codes that were the precursor before religion. Religion, in many ways, was a way to hide those codes and to control. What you're doing, and this is what I love about what you're doing, is you're saying, well, let's not worry about that. Let's go back to the source, recode it, bring this back to the world for people to use in their own way, but at least they can reconnect with the divine within themselves and see the true power that they have. So then they realize that they have a choice. And that choice, as we said, we're going down that human path of, AI, robotics, intelligence, and giving our power away. Or we can go the other way, which is reconnecting with our power, which is far more powerful actually than robotics and AI could ever be, in the same way as when we look back in time, people are walking through walls, people are raising the dead, people are doing all these what we call miracle things, but these are things that were happening in front of people's faces. Now we look at that and we think, well, are we even capable of this? Or this is amazing, right? But this is our natural state. But we need to reconnect with the codes for all of us to realize what that is and to have that experience, right? That's in a nutshell what you're basically saying. Would you say that that's true, Daniele?
Yes, you just you speak for me. I give you commissions then afterwards, right? You are under commission. Yeah, you basically what you said is what I'm trying to tell here. So when we talk about the religion system, I don't want to, because many people they joined into the religion system because they do believe, they feel inside that there is this divine that needs to be unfolded. But unfortunately, how has been manifested so far, in reality, has not given the true fruits, has created more limitations, more divisions, more war, a bloodshed. So in the role, what I see is the role of the religion system has been like the keepers of these scriptures. They have been the keepers. To wait until the time is right when there are people around that take the books in their hands and start to say, this is does not mean just this, but means also this, and this. Then our mind just been blown away and say, oh, right. One, for example, just to bring everything into the context here, just to show you, it's even though my work is concentrated on the Western traditions, I refer to lots of things from the East. One of the great miracles that Buddha did was the miracle of Saraswati. And the miracle of Saraswati was that Buddha, I call Buddha now, not Siddhartha. So he has a title, he has reached that state that now he can deliver his Dharma. Dharma is a will that try to overtake or try to be imposed above karma. Karma is a will of slavery. Dharma is a will that allows us to come out from this will of slavery. So one of the great miracles he did was the miracle of Saraswati. And what happens was that all the old priesthood, the old system, used to accuse Buddha. What you teaching here, what you say doesn't not make any sense, and this is impossible, and this is not, doesn't know goes with what it's written, blah, 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 blah. So there were so many accusations. He was on trial. And what he did at that time, he just manifest insults 1,000 times of insult. So all these people that were accusing him were seeing him everywhere. It's called the miracle of Saraswati. So 1,000 times, which represented the opening of a lotus flowers, a consciousness that opened up with the 1,000 space-time singularities. Yeah? What does it mean behind that miracle? It means that what they say, what they were seeing, it's just one aspect. But once things open up, it goes in, in many different ways. So they were confusing. They themselves, they didn't know who to look first. That one. Because this is when we truly grasp the sense of things and how the divine speaks. We are not just religious people. What people, they projected themselves. We are not just philosophers. We are not just healers. We are not just teachers. We are not just students. We are not just engineering or architect or archaeologist. We are everything. Astrophysics. We are everything. Yeah? So this is how we need to be. In order that everything is to combine, they stay all together. When we speak in a multi-level way. This is seen in the West when we try to speak with stories. The power of a story, the power of relating a parable or a likeness, a similitude. This is very important because it retains in a story, retain a multi-level intelligence where it can speak to the level of a person that working on the rice field and can, at the same time can deliver a message and open up and inspire somebody that work out of space as an astrophysic. Yeah? This is the power of when somebody open up completely the mind. It needs to be like that. Otherwise, we cannot really understand. We can carry on, having war and throw stones to each other, just to throw stones and live inside caves. Yeah. For example, I have seen many arguments, and still today, where people believe and carry on believing. People believe we come from monkeys. Okay, we can come. Yeah. This is Darwinian theory. We come from monkeys, right? Has been proven. We have lots of remains of hominids, different type. Yeah, nobody can take that truth away. It's true. But also it's true for other people that they believe they come from God. They come from stars. So in the end of the day, what is matter is what we choose. If somebody give you an opportunity and said, what would you like to be? Where would you like to come from? From a monkey or from a divine lineage? What do we choose? Yeah, of course, this body is connected with this natural environment, so it resembles, the natural way and the animal way. In some, it's innate within us. But at the same time, it's also true that when we look at especially archaeological remains like the Great Pyramid, which is still a mystery, or the Sphinx, or many other incredible temples that we find through India and through other places, that it cannot be rebuilt. Even today with the technology that we have, with the Maya, what we find in Mexico, with the Inca, what they built in Peru and other places, this cannot be rebuilt. Yeah. So, and we think we are much more clever today than they used to be. It's not like that. It's not like that. Also, the communication used to be very different between these civilizations. The thought patterns, how they used to think, very different, especially the Egyptians. So today we think about how to speak with the words we need to use to speak. Before it was not like this. Before there was an image, being projected. Now, so we know an image retains 1,000 words. It doesn't not just bring 1,000 words, but brings scenarios. It brings many possibilities. It brings an attunement. It's a different kind of language. It's a creative language. We have lost this. So we try to regain all this. Once again, this is a regenesis. Language. If you want to say something, please tell me. Stop me when I talk. When you want to stop me, please do, because
I know. There's so much in that beautiful mind. Look, one thing. At this stage, how can people tap into you? So now, some people would have been watching this, or if they watch this on repeat, they get an idea of who you are. They probably get an idea of what I feel. You're a deeply connected soul, right? That's how I see you. And so then you mentioned that you have these talks, here in Bali. Maybe so let's do the practical things. So if people are in Bali, how can they connect with you? If people are not in Bali, online, how can they connect with you?
Since I published my book, it's called The Scroll of Regenesis, which is an exposition of the first book of the Torah, the book of Genesis. So I bring out the keys. The most difficult parts I have experienced during this journey is not to uncode or open up scriptures, but actually to connect with people. That's why I value your work very much, because it's very, very, very important that you bring this work. out, and it's out there, this is what it's needed. But in my part, in reality, I've been concentrating on writing books and so on. So we start to open up a little bit and doing talk, like on the Wednesday. I wrote also a booklet, it's called The 10 Principle, which is based on 10 words. And every week I choose one word, and we expose that words, the meaning of the words. So we have like a little satsang sitting, discussions of like in the same matter how we are doing together now, yeah? So we say the words, and then we try to inspire ourselves through the words and through question and answer. And this is done in Ubud, in a place called the Seed of Life. It's a little restaurant that we go on the Wednesday for 1.5 hours. So we do that. Then what we try to do is...
What time on Wednesday? So, sorry, Daniele. What time on Wednesday?
It's 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's just a time where everybody's more relaxed. It's before they start to close for, and they want to have a dinner, so they can have a dinner. We support also the local restaurant. So it lasts around 2 hours. Yesterday lasted a little bit more than 2 hours. We were talking, for example, yesterday we did the first lesson, we were talking about the light. What is the light? We did another lesson the following week and was talking about the image. What is an image? We did the last lesson we did yesterday. Yesterday was Wednesday, so we had our talk, and was about the name. What is a name? So you see, it's very simple. But through that, we come to realize that actually when we go deep, we find out many, many keys, and they make us very, very smart. I tell you, make us very smart. So this is one thing. Another thing that we try to do is we try to re-give the teaching on the first book of Genesis through my work, the book I have written, which is this one. Yeah.
Great. The Scroll of Regenesis. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this, inside this book, there are the original scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures of the Torah, of the book of Bereshit. And what we do is analyzing each word and open up. And what we do is we take, because you see the Bible, it's full of covers, full of meditations, full of sacred expressions. So what we do is we take that sacred expressions, that code. There are also, the Hebrew language is like a pictographic language. It's a language made of symbols. Each letter, it can be an attunement symbol. It's a fire language, a fire letter. So when we combine these fire letters together, it gives a release, an higher state of consciousness to us. You open up parts of our things. And I do believe strongly that within this kind of work, and when we start to open up these scriptures, is where our genes, we know this, everybody knows this, that our body works 97% of its abilities. So we have the chance, I do believe, to activate the other remaining dormant divine parts is to do this work. And for me, I say, this is my personal experience. I don't want to condition other people. Everybody follow their own opinion. Of course, they have their own experience. But on my experience, I have enough of activations and attunement. This is time really to gather wisdom as it is. There is knowledge everywhere in this world. It's to understand the knowledge that has been given. This is the key point. Once we understand the knowledge that is out there, then we become wise beings. Then you are more than enlightened, because you have been given to us the keys to, to free ourselves from this state of survival. It's needed to go to the next stage.
You know, like, so firstly for people watching, so there's two things, right? So there's 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Seeds of Life Wednesday in Ubud, if you're here. That's one. The other one is the Scroll of Regenesis on Facebook group. That's how they can connect with you also. Now, a few of the things that you said, which just hang with me, you know, I love this concept of karma and Dharma, right? So karma is something that we're locked into, like we're a slave to, and Dharma is something that we choose, something that is outside of karma. It's what our life's work can become, our purpose, and so on, which I love. Now, for you, maybe some people are watching here and saying, you know what, I love the vibe of what you're saying. I don't necessarily understand all of it, but I understand the vibe, and the frequency of it is something which applies to me. Now, what would you say if a person says, well, where do I start, right? As in, you know, they can come and join your sessions, I get that, but if they can't reach to those, you know, like, what would you say is maybe, you know, one of the most important things or a series of things that somebody could do right now to start this journey?
Very good questions. I love your questions, and I love how you project everything, so turn things around. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect and divine. Right. So the key words to answer to this is search. To keep searching until this is one of the sayings what Jesus was saying. Keep searching until one finds. So we search. If we are on this searching journey, then eventually we'll find the right way for us. Yeah. If we have not found, means we need to keep searching. Is there? So I don't want to say, and I don't want to tell people, you know, like, I don't want to even think to say, you know, as many people, I have everything. No, I want people to experience their own journey. If they want to experience something different, of course, this is what I can say. I can only say, I can offer something different that there is around. Now, the things I didn't mention to you, for example, when I was in Bali, I was busy writing my book, completing my book. I used to teach also Balinese symbolism. So, you know, you are in Bali, you go in the Balinese temples, it's full of symbology and things. So I used to connect, people used to come to me, I used to connect people into temples in the traditional way, in traditional Balinese way. For me, as you know, there's no separation, because when we start to raise up, we realize the language is one. It's the language of the spirit. So everything is clear up. So I used to use the Balinese symbolism, which retain a lot of cosmological intelligence within it, to connect people to Mother Earth, to open up also. So I used to do this in many different ways. Of course, we have sections on the Bible, on the Genesis. We have sections that we do satsang on the opening discussions, which embrace all kind of religion system or belief systems with technology and science. Everything needs to make sense and needs to be unified. Peacefully, always peacefully, because this is what an enlightened being knows, that it's a time to gather, it's a time to acquire. To acquire means it's like, Jesus used to say, we need to be like a money changer, you know? You take the good and throw away the bad. This is how it is until we find what we want, it's fit with us. So we can give a different perspective, and maybe I always say a multi-level perspective that is not limited on one view, but it's open up in many different ways. And we can have a clear idea of where we stand today, especially, and where we're going. This is very important. Very important.
And something you brought up just hung with me as well. Cosmology, right? Now, there are so many things that we could talk about for days, right? We haven't got days today, but I'd love to continue this conversation, and we can do a series of these. But so cosmology. So if I asked you, how does cosmology link in with these sacred scrolls that you've been discovering and recoding, what comes up for you?
Okay, so if I tell you a story, I tell you a little story, try to be quick, to address the words of cosmology. If we look, for example, our body, our body is made of many different cells. So there is this story where there was a nail cell called keratins that live in the, in the nail. And they were fed up to living on the environment of the nail environment. So one day they start to protest and manifest themselves. They wish that they want a more higher destiny of their lives. So, to be fair with the, our, how is this word we start to do like protesting and the human rights, political correctness, and so on. So in the end, a chance was being given to this keratin cells to upgrade in a higher state of living. So they gave the opportunity to go and live in an environment of mind, the mind. So within our brain, the cells behave in very different way than the nail cells. Within our brain, the cells are called firing cells. They have a complete different role. They go very fast, and they are firing all the time. So it's an higher state. It's on the head. It's on the top of the career, right, of our body. Yeah, so it has access to lots of information, processing them very fast. What the nail cell does not do. The nail cells have the ability to process very slowly what has been rejected in some respect from the body. So in the end, this opportunity was being given to the cells. We move to the brain and they start to try to do the work as a firing cell do, but they cannot cope. They don't have the same abilities. They are not being given the same way how to process all this information, all this intelligence. So they start to complain. And the risk was that once the keratin starts to go into the brain as a cell, it starts to create a dysfunctional, not just into the brain, but to all the body. So a body in cells start to change and go into these phases of metamorphosis. And then they become a cockroach. This is keratin. Instead of to grow hair on top of the head, we start to scale down. So what is the meaning behind this story? This is cosmology. Cosmology, we understand that there is a level of intelligence. We are on Earth. It depends on the life that we do and the belief system that we have, the role that we have. We tap to that kind of flow. I call it flow of energies. But once, for example, we want, for example, today everybody wants the same right. It's right. It's right. But it requires commitment. It requires a state of mind. It requires responsibilities. Yeah? How many times has happened in this world that we get hyper? This is the downfall of this world. When, for example, you see individuals, because they have their own connections, they come from a higher background, and has been given, they are not ready for it. But they've been given to them roles of responsible roles, and this we see today in politics. We see today in economical managerial also in the militaristic fields, where people get a role not because of their abilities, but because of their connections, or they have bought their way in. Then it will become a downfall because these people have a saying, has control, make decisions, right? And it's a downfall for everybody because the decisions is made cosmologically, even if they occupy a place of a higher rank, but in an intelligence-wise, cosmologically, they are low. They keep everybody low. This is what cosmology is the awareness that there is a different level of environment, and each environment have their own frequencies, their own vibrational intelligence, and change. This is seen, for example, in Hindu with the multi-gods level system. This is seen also in the Western tradition with the angelic, the devas, the angelic realms, yeah, and the asuras, or the demons realms, and the human realms, yeah. So, yeah, we are, as a human, we have access to all of this. How to connect and interact with this is very important. It needs to be done in the wise way. This is what cosmology is. Without understanding the symbolic language, the unified language of God, it would be impossible to grasp the meaning of cosmology that goes beyond of what astrophysics try to project to us of the cosmos, what is. There is a visible cosmos to our eyes, but there is also an invisible cosmos that is just perceived with what we call those that have chosen to go beyond the barrier, the walls that this world is creating on us all the time.
Wow, man. Two things. So firstly, if anyone is watching on Instagram has a question, feel free to write your question in now. Later on, we'll start to look at other platforms for questions. At the moment, we're not doing it, but Instagram, if you have a question, feel free to write in. So there's a couple of things that's going to happen, right? So we're definitely going to do another one of these because I think we should do like a Scroll of Regenesis series, right? I think it's the best way because it's clear to see that there's so much knowledge that you have that to try to even attempt to bring that knowledge into a container is quite challenging, right? Because there's so much there. And like we follow the energy through, and that's great. But I believe that we need to have a bigger container. So that's the first thing. The second thing, soon-ish, we're gonna close more. But what I'd like you to do is have a think of it. So our guest, which is you, Daniele, our guest finishes the show. Now, the way that we do that is that we ask our guests if there's anything that comes up that they want to bring up, that they want to speak about as a closing. Now, this might be something that you've already said. It might be something that you thought, that I would love to say, I haven't said it yet. Or it might be something that just drops in and you say, you know what, right now, this is what I'm drawn to say. So I'm going to give you a minute or so to have a think about, what that feels like to you. And so while I'm giving you that time to think, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for being the incredible person that you are and bringing this. Oh, my man, for bringing this knowledge, taking the time to follow your heart, and what people don't realize is that that when we sat down, it was me laugh. It's like I hate traveling.
I do hate to travel.
No mi piace a viaggiare per il mondo neanche. Like I don't like traveling, you know. Yet you heeded the call, right, of the universe saying, "Look, brother, you need to travel and you need to take time in other places." You know, you're like,
I
"Whoa."
used to complain. I used to complain all the time, every time. But then I used to love it. Because people used to come around me and they make me feel welcome, and all the traveling what I have done. I mean, this was God, God. They used to come and welcome me and used to make me feel always home everywhere I used to go. But I used to complain all the time. Why I'm here? What I'm doing here? I just don't. I need to pack again. I need to go. Why I need to go in this place? But then, I managed to overcome these parts of me. So as it giving greater rewards to me, I have to admit. So, but you are wonderful. I tell you, you are wonderful because you bring this out of me, and it's beautiful. Yes, this is what I would like to give to all of you for closing the program, your program. And I do in a very simple way, in a very humble way. So if, for example, we close the program with just a simple prayer, the same prayer was being given 2,000 years ago by Christ. We can do the same, and we will notice actually that it's not just a prayer, but it's a way to start and be more contemplative on the life itself. So this is what I leave with you when we close the program. So if we close our eyes and we do a Lord prayer, Oh Father, Oh Abba, who art in the heavens, holy is thy name, thy kingdom come, and thy will is done on earth as it is done in the heavens. Please give us today our daily bread, and help us to forgive the debts that other people owe to us, so all our debts can be discharged. Shield us, give us strength to overcome them, because thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Olam. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Prima così.
Prima
Grazie
così.
moltissimo. Thank you, my brother.
Sutsamo. I see you next time.
Thank you, my brother.
Duty.
Thank you, my brother.
To you.
Thank
I
you.
love you.
Love you right back,
I love
brother.
you. I love you all. Okay.
Thank you, brother Daniel.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.